Okay, so we're going to be talking about the Elizabeth Aaron Stratton, who decided to do this to helpless, defenseless, non-white babies in Virginia. Let's get into it. Hard Talk Radio live in 4K.
Sits behind bars after, in some instances, newborn black babies were found with serious injuries, broken bones. Enrico Doctors Hospital says staff found 3 babies with, quote, unexplainable fractures. 26-year-old Aaron Stratton is charged with malicious wounding and felony child abuse. My next guest is Dr. Dalisha Ali from Archpoint Pain Institute. He says these allegations are true. If true, she should have not been allowed to work after she was suspended the first time and they brought her back.
Imagine if a black nurse did this from Virginia and was doing this to white babies, or God forbid, Jewish babies or Asian babies. She would not be able to be terminated with pay. I'm sorry, suspended with pay. She would be under a jail cell.
First of all, your thoughts on this case and just how horrible it is that a nurse, someone in your profession, would harm a child like that, a newborn.
Yeah, Isaiah, very disturbing news indeed. Our first, the oath that we take is do no harm, right? And so when I hear of stories like this is a truly disrupting and really sad, shocking news that I hear from somebody who we would help, or we would hope is helping the child, somebody who's in the NICU where they're sick, they've got other things going on. The last thing you want to worry about is your nurse, somebody who you trust, doing harm to a child. And so I am very saddened to hear this news, and I hope that this person is not able to practice medicine if this is truly, in fact, this person was causing harm to innocent children and babies.
Now, we know she was accused initially by the hospital internally when they said she may have harmed 3 other children, but then a year passed by, she was suspended, a year passed by, and they brought her back. Was that a mistake?
It was, Isaiah. I mean, as long as you have...
That wasn't a mistake. That was intentional. As the old saying goes, being a nurse is like being a cop for white women, white racist women.
Somebody who has potentially caused harm. This should have raised some flags for the hospital. They should have taken more initiatives and perhaps not brought this person back. She was on administrative leave for 1 year. She was paid supposedly around for all this time as well that she was gone. And then the hospital did its job of checking to see if there was something. I just don't think they did enough. I don't think they did enough investigation. I know that hospitals have ethical boards and committees. Sometimes, you know, when these sorts of bigger allegations happen, it's the hospital's responsibility to make sure that they either have a third party, somebody else that's reviewing this to make sure that everything is checked off and there was no malicious harm that was involved in this.
From your research, what exactly did she do to some of the children?
From what I could see and from some of the x-rays of these children that were obtained, what I saw was she was not handling them in the right way and maybe being too rough with them, or maybe pulling on a leg or something that causes either a dislocation or a fracture or something. So, you know, again, we don't have any strong evidence, and these are all accusations and allegations that we have so far, but I think it's the hospital.
Unreal, man. Unreal. Okay. And this is what she could be facing. All right. Going to prison. All right. If she's convicted.
This white lady right here is about to enter into a level of hell that few of you could even begin to imagine. And I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of okay with it. And this bowl of white cheese dip's name is Erin Stroutman. She's a 26-year-old nurse from Virginia who was just arrested for torturing babies. And not just any babies. This was a white woman who specifically targeted innocent Black American babies. And I'm going to give you a trigger warning. She shook these babies. She squeezed these babies until their bones fractured. She slammed them down, and she even pulled their arms and legs until it dislocated the limbs on these innocent babies. Remember, this is all allegedly. She is innocent until proven guilty. And if she's found guilty of a court of law, she's going to prison. But
I got a question. Where's Black Lives Matter for this?
I would guess probably 8 to 12 years in a state prison is what she's looking at. What's going to matter is how she's going to do those years and what those years are going to do to her, because she's entering a prison system that is comprised of around 53% of Black Americans, despite only having 19% of the population in total. And she is a white woman who intentionally tortured Black American babies. Yeah, this is going to be a whole new level of hell for her. And if these female inmates get their hands on her, they are going to hurt her. They are going to SA her. They are going to exploit her, and they are going to traffic her. That's just the way it is. If, and that's a big if, she gets to go to Gen Pop when she's in prison, because I would imagine she's in AdSeg or PC right now, and that's where she'll go when she goes to prison. But that puts a whole new twist on it too. Take the race out of the issue. She is a woman who is going to be living among nothing but angry women. And most of them can bond over the fact that they're mothers. And she was torturing innocent babies.
That's one thing in prison. You harm women and children, disabled people, it is going to be a very ugly road for you in prison. People who harm and abuse children, they don't really make it out of prison. Prison is their graveyard. They either starve to death or they are SA'd to death. Okay, but 9 times out of 10, that you go into that prison, you are not coming out. That's just the gist of it. You are basically there you go, and that is your portal to hell. Pretty much said. Nothing else. Okay, the guards are not even going to help you. The thing is worse that, in female prisons, you got pervert guards. It's basically hell. Okay. So she just basically signed herself away. All right, to a place where every day you're going to get tortured. You may get a break because the fact of the matter is they're trying to figure new ways to harm you. That's it. The reprieve will just be like, okay, we can't keep doing the same thing to this person over and over again. We're going to get bored. We got to find something new.
So even if she's put into PC around other inmates, her life is most likely going to be in danger. And she'll probably have to go to AdSeg, which means she's going to be locked down 23-1, usually with one cellmate or no cellmates, and that's going to be complete isolation. But guards that are there, the women that are guards, they're mothers too. So I do believe her experience is going to be a nightmare.
Pretty much. It's going to be a place of horror. Plus, you're going to have to be depending on people to feed you. All right. And those people will be the inmates. The inmates cook the food. So all I could say is the fact of she is going to have a very, very hard time. But here's something that I didn't. I just found out though. Here's something I just found out. Hold 1 second. Sorry. Here's something that I didn't know. And I'll show you.
The neonatal intensive care units are shaking, and this is a horrifying story to any parent that put their trust in the natal care of a hospital of their brand new sick babies. In Virginia, at the Henrico Hospital, there were a bunch of babies within last week that were found to have fractures, broken bones, and we couldn't figure out why. Now we know who did it. We found the culprit. It's a horrible story. Let's talk about it. When this situation first happened, it really perked my ears up. Although I didn't report on it, the hospital came out and they said that while fractures occasionally happen within preterm babies, since they lack full fetal bone development, we are actively working to determine how these fractures occurred. So because they didn't know who did it and what was going on, they implemented cameras in the natal unit. They started talking to the nurses and the doctors, interviewing them. They really started doing their research and seeing what was going on. But the story was out there. Now that we know the ins and outs, I'm horrified. So one of the families has twins, right? Of a married couple, they have twins. And their twin son, one of them had a broken ankle. Okay, and his broken ankle, let me show you the photo. This is a photo of one of the twins' ankles. Their parent name is Dominique Hackey. And the other twin, he was actually growing at a more rapid pace. And sometimes that happens with twins. One gets more nutrients in the womb than the other, but this one needed a little bit more care. But you see here, his ankle was broken, it was fractured, right? They didn't know what was going on, but that man's mother was a nurse. And she said, no, I'm calling CPS. Something is not right. And she's the one that started the investigation first. That led to them finding out that there were 9 babies in the NICU with broken bones, broken fractures. There's another set of twins. One of them lost their life.
That's murder. That is murder right there.
When the CPS investigation happened, Henrico Hospital, they sent this out to all the parents saying it was a level 1 for physical abuse. That is the highest that you can be charged for physical abuse, child abuse, and neglect. So these parents are all getting these letters. They're mortified. Now, when it comes to a NICU situation, you can't just move your baby to another hospital randomly. It takes a lot of care. These babies are already undergoing trauma. So they kind of have to stay there. You know, you can't, if you don't have the money, you can't really take them home. It's a tragic, scary situation because you're putting all your trust into this hospital, regardless of them sending out a letter saying the children are being abused. This is the culprit, Elizabeth Ann Stroman. She's 26 years old. She looks like a deer in headlights, as she should be. And this has been going on since November and December of 2023. That's how long that this has been under investigation, all the way to finding this lady. Now, they're saying there's black newborns. And yes, she was harming the black and brown babies at that hospital. Isn't that horrible? I don't know exactly what she was doing, but she's being charged with child endangerment, child neglect. And because that twin passed away, I think eventually she will be charged with murder. She's going to go to prison. The hospital will be sued. It's one of those situations like, what kind of evil? What depths of evil are in your soul to harm an innocent baby that's already at the lowest form of development? It's a different type of evil. It's something going.
So, thinking about this, we're in a Trump presidency right now. All right. We are in a Trump presidency. And he wants to cut off, the Affordable Care Act. All right. He wants to take away Department of Education. And we have a lot of hate crimes coming out of nowhere. Not coming out of nowhere. White racists feel emboldened to get up and harm people now. All right. We are in some serious hard times. People are going to have to find ways to look up on having babies at their home, how to do it safely, how to do it properly. Okay. Because we're in some serious racist hard times. All right. America is a racist nation. And these 4 years are going to prove it. We're seeing this more and more. Black women, black couples, you're going to have to try and have your kids at home. That's what's going to have to happen. And I hope the doctors, the hospital is sued. You took her back. You saw this happening and you took her back. Whoever was in charge, they need to go to jail. Sad thing, I was reading a comment online about how a woman went through this with her own baby, and she got to the bottom of it. All the nurses that were involved in taking care of her baby, they fled to other hospitals to work. Say it again. A hospital, being a nurse in a hospital is like cops, racist cops for white nurses, white female nurses. And I cringe in horror of what those white male nurses could be doing to black babies, if they're even allowed to be around black babies or non-white babies. That's all I got to say for now. All right. Hard Talk Radio, live in 4K. You know what to do. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Please let this get around to bring awareness about what's going on. Okay. Later.